Welcome everybody to our first webinar. My name is Mila. I'm a co-founder of TAR Network, and I'm so pleased to see everybody joining. I hope you didn't have any technical issues to find our webinar. Please excuse us. For this, I would like to introduce Dr. Jamie, the Executive Director and the founder of TAR Network. TAR Network is a foundation, a 501c3 foundation, which is here to bring awareness to those who are suffering from narcissistic abuse and from TAR. And TAR is an acronym to toxic abusive relationships, which Dr. Jamie coined. So, Dr. Jamie, I'm giving this to you.
Thank you. And can you hear me, Mila? That's the point.
I can hear you very well. Very
So,
well.
as I tell my daughter, and everybody should know first, I'm an AARP daddy. That's an older daddy with a daughter. Whenever she goes, "Oh, I screwed up. Oh, I did this wrong," I said, "Stop that, sweetheart. Change the words we tell ourselves. Oh, I'm so human." So that's all. Oh, I'm so human. So everybody who's listening right now, if you think you ever make a mistake, it's just remember, this is what humans do. And this is the beauty of our foundation, Mila. So for 3.5 years, we've been growing. But the reason why I've been so successful, I think, is not just the beautiful people who checking in here and listening, but it's because I made so many mistakes in my last two foundations and I learned from them. So everybody, just so you know, you're in the right spot. And if you're here because you're in a toxic relationship or you're coming out of a toxic relationship and you're either a man or you're a woman concerned about a man in your life, just realize that this is a learning experience. And today I'm going to help you get out of this learning experience so it's more of a positive outcome than not. So today it's called Men, Have You Stepped in TAR? Why this is so important to me as executive director of this TAR network is because it was the passion, the aha moment, the reason why actually Partners in Men's Health initially, and then when I met Mila, my co-founder, and I went on to start the TAR network. Yes, I'm a therapist, but I am also today not just a human doing, obviously talking in the seminar, I'm a human being who's gone through this. And so it was so important for me to come to you today and to say hello. We're going to talk today as a group, okay, about awareness, transformation, and self-love. And because I'm a therapist, that's literally the path, if you will, of the road less traveled, okay? So you may be stuck right now, mired in cognitive fog. You could have, as Mila said, your foot into tar, that sticky substance that is hard to get out of. You're pulling your foot out, pulling your hand off. You know, it's like that tar baby, it's a tar pit, oh, I can't get it off. Well, that's the beginning of being in a toxic relationship. Okay. But today we want you to become aware, to transform, and to find self-love. And if you're a man listening to this, I want you to listen closely to my voice because now I've been in recovery for about 7 years or so of complex PTSD, but I've been exactly where you have been. Okay. I've had my knees on the ground. I looked at somebody and saw that this was my soulmate. This was my life. This was the most beautiful thing in the world. I had found nirvana. And yet it was for me, love, love, love. I thought for her, it was more transact, transact, transact. In some ways, I might have been targeted. I'm going to use words from our network, targeted, toxic abusive relationship. I was in the sights. I was in the sights. I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. But right now, you checked into the right spot. If you're a man, you must understand one of the things is that as a therapist, I work with men often. I work with firemen, policemen, emergency medical technicians, the military. It was a real love of mine. Why? Men don't report. Men don't call. Men don't come in. Men don't say, "Hey, Dr. Jamie, I need help." No, 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 no. Men culturally were raised in blue. Oh, you can't do anything. Pull yourself up from the bootstraps. Oh, be a tough guy. And so 80% of my clients are women, right? But the men were never served. And I never realized as much as when I went through that hell, that there was nothing there. So when we created a toxic abusive relationship network, I said, Mila, we have three missions in mind. One is the treatment. There's no complex PTSD treatment worth a darn in this country or around the world. The second is there's no support groups. Every time I went to AA or NA, I've been in recovery for codependency. Nobody understood what I was saying. So we needed to put a support group worldwide network, which we're going to ask you to help us with, because it's going to take an entire world to do this. And then the third thing was prevention, because I guess what? You're in a relationship with somebody who did not want to be evil. Okay, they might be evil, they might be coming at you hard, and they might be changing your whole life. But that was a child, and the child with absolutely awful parenting. So if you're a guy, you're in the right spot. But realize over 6 million men struggle with depression every year. Okay. And men report with fatigue, irritability. I work with high performing teams in large corporate settings. These are men who think they're on top of the world, but they're just as anxious as anybody else. They also have bipolar depression, psychosis. Okay. And truly, men have more mental illness, believe it or not, than women, but they don't talk about it. Now, let's talk about what we came here for. Okay. A man is severely assaulted by his wife or girlfriend every 14.6 seconds. Is that not a scary notion? That is only physical abuse, guys, or girls, whoever's listening. That's physical abuse. We're not even talking about the emotional abuse. And personally, I've been a therapist for 30 years. If you ask any of my patients or ask me, I would rather be hit than to go through the successive emotional abuse over time, the covert abuse, right? But realize men are 4 times more likely to suicide than women. Now, women will also probably act out as much, but often it's an acting out, it's a cry for help. Men will do it quickly. I work with boomers and seniors. That 85 years old, that's the highest incidence of suicide you can possibly imagine. Alcohol dependence is huge among us. It's also huge among, and I'm going to get to this, people with complex PTSD or childhood PTSD, which all of us have, because we disassociate. We don't want to remain in the moment. We don't want to look in the mirror and heal our lives. Okay. Now, have you stepped in tar today? If you're a man or if you're a woman here for a man, the numbers are staggering. Okay. We think that domestic violence only impacts women. And here in America, and I know we're speaking to Ireland and all around the world, it's, domestic violence hits 1 out of 3 women. Here, we've created shelters, right? Here, we created laws, and I'm happy we have. I go to court often as a subject matter expert. I'm more than happy to go to court for a woman who's actually after a narcissistic man who's stalking her, who's making her life miserable, who's alienated children. I will do it for free or certainly at a discount. But what we don't understand is that 1 in 4 men also are going through domestic violence. And okay, listen to that. And we have no shelters. We have no hotlines. We have nothing. So men have to go through it somewhat in silence. I had to go through it in silence. When I went through this, I looked everywhere. And as a clinician, I could not find a group for men. I couldn't find a treatment for myself. I couldn't find anything. And that's why we created TAR Network, to fill in the gaps. But men, if you think for a second you are less impacted than women, take a look at this, okay? 35% of men have a major depressive illness. Women are less, but men don't report. 20 women will do that silently as well. They'll go into the kitchen and nobody will talk. But PTSD, which I'll get into, post-traumatic stress disorder, because of military, firemen, policemen, is great. Women do have a higher incidence, but they don't report. So you're in the right spot. Okay. The myth that we're here to talk about today, okay, is that domestic violence only affects women. Wow. And let me just not discount the women. It is absolutely heinous. Our domestic violence with women, because men seemingly were reared to fight and maybe more aggressive in some ways, because it's pull yourself from the bootstrap, play that rugby, play that lacrosse, play that football. Yes, it's scarier, okay, because men can be maybe, physically ready to do really damage. A bully can do damage. A low self-esteem man can do damage. But the fact is, 40% or more domestic violence victims are men. Listen to that number. 40%. Okay, so as I work with cops and firemen to bring this concept home to you, as I work with a company now that gave a sizable donation to Hurricane Ian a year and a half ago. I was asked to keynote a conference for police officers who came and helped during that terrible hurricane. Afterwards, the conference organizers asked me to say, would I do a Q&A with them, police officers, because I had a 60-bed policeman treatment center once in Huntsville, Alabama. So I used to intervene on cops. I love working with firemen and cops, people running into burning homes. Well, when we closed that door for question and answer, they didn't talk about the streets. They didn't talk about crack houses and guns to their head. They talked about going home to a marriage that they were absolutely didn't know what to do. They went home and said that they were in emotional, physical, or sexual abuse of some sort at home and couldn't talk to anybody. And then they had to go out in the streets and protect us. That's amazing. That's what happens when we get with men in a safe spot. So men suffer in silence for a lot of reasons, y'all. Okay. They're less likely to report any abuse. They're geared and reared this way. Okay. They can be embarrassed or think they can handle the abuse. Maybe their mom or dad has said that to them. Culture has said to them. A man's less likely to call the police. Hey, when the police come, the police are culturally trained that men are more likely to be arrested. Okay. Go figure. So they can't call. The whole country is not trained here in America, there in Ireland, probably in Prague, in Czech Republic, as well as Serbia, wherever you come from. Our lawyers are not trained, our judges are not trained well, our police are not trained well to realize that 830,000 men fall victim to domestic violence every year here. That is an insane number. So realize too, as you're listening to me, and I know I'm going to give you some nuggets here, but this is as a survivor too. Okay, we call at TAR our survivors stars. We're going to make you stars today. The acronym for STAR is a survivor of toxic abusive relationships, because we don't probably feel so much like a star today if you checked in here. And certainly years ago, I didn't feel like a star. I felt like my knees were on the ground. I felt like my life was over. I felt I was going through hell. So I want to know if you are in the right workshop here. I am going to ask you, did you check in for no reason at all? No. Actually, I love the fact that you checked in here. It says that you're reaching out for yourself for the first time in a long time. I want to honor you. You are beginning this stardom road. Okay. But let me ask you, are you in the right spot? Look at this. Okay. Whether you're a man who's, binary, gay, bisexual, or, straight, doesn't matter. Okay. And this is LGBTQ plus month. And so we want to honor everybody and all men, whatever choices you make, to come into your own authenticity, to come into yourself. But the abuse rates for straight men is 30%, okay? 30% have experienced rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner in their lifetime. I don't have to go too far for you all in the UK, Ireland, Scotland, any to talk about, or here in America, which the most popular show is Baby Reindeer, to say that we as men, as we watch that, and I want you to focus on Martha, because we've all had a Martha in our life. Okay. My Martha also came to me. My Martha also stuck me. She also had a child I fell in love with many, many years ago. Martha also kind of alienated that child. We all have a Martha in our life. But if you get Baby Reindeer, and I would love for you to do that, and if it triggers you, you're going to find out about Tar-Anon later, because Tar-Anon is something we got for all of us that get triggered to get into the transformational world of becoming a star. But Baby Reindeer, I don't want you to concentrate on Martha. I want you to concentrate on Donnie. Donnie was the writer, okay? He was the man who put it together for Netflix. He was also the man who was stalked, okay? And now he had a measurable time of absence from Dear Martha until he did Baby Reindeer. Now, if you all are watching old Pierce and like Dr. Phil and all those exploitive sort of guys who love to get in front of people and get ratings, you'll see that they, of course, found Martha. She wasn't too tough. And now Martha is suing Netflix for $170 million. And you can bet your bottom dollar that Donnie is in her cross hairs too. And we're going to get later to no contact. But Donnie, if you thought you had no contact, you were wrong. No amount of money is worth screwing your mental health up. So are you in the right spot? Are you in a relationship, or had you been in a relationship where you don't feel safe? Okay, that's not a relationship with a loved one. It's a 50-50 thing. Okay. Or do you have bad or non-existent communication? Can you talk about things that are bothering you? Is the other person bearing witness to your pain? Do they honor it? Do they meet you halfway? Think about this. Think about it, okay? Do you feel neglected in your relationship, or exploited, maybe transacted? Maybe you're doing everything and they're doing nothing. Maybe you're elevating them. Do you feel like you've lost yourself? Remember who you were? I remember who I was, and I've definitely lost myself. I didn't know who I was. My values dropped, okay? Mila and I are writing a book called Tar Tales. One of the chapters is called Values Are the Garlic and the Crucifix to the Energy Vampire. So when your values drop, anything can happen. But I will say this, later on in our recovery, our values are our key to becoming a star and creating the boundaries, okay? So are you walking on eggshells if you feel judgment by the person in front of you, never just talking, never just honoring, putting you down, critical, being belittled, shaming you, not receiving their care, concern. In fact, you're almost questioning whether they have any empathy at all. Are you feeling controlled or manipulated? This can happen not just with your loved one, okay? Don't think of attachment disorders as simply loved one. This could happen at work. This could happen as you caring for a loved one, okay? This could happen in any set. That's why when you go to TAR Network, you'll see we have 8 different subsets, okay? So you may be feeling controlled or manipulated at work. It may not be psychologically safe. Are you playing a dysfunctional role that you probably played in childhood? You're the hero trying to save somebody, right? Remember, we're going to get to that. You can't save anybody but yourself. And then finally, if you're like me, are you living under a cloud of rage? Every day, the eggshell. If I say this, if I say that, what's going to happen? Oh, let me manage this person. Let me do that. Well, that takes a lot of energy. So what is emotional abuse? Let's define it. Let's talk about it. Okay. Do you experience these behaviors yourself? Here's not looking, not being observable to the other person. For a moment, I want you to go inside yourself. If you are dealing with emotional abuse at home, okay, chances are you're constantly apologizing. Your whole life is one big apology, trying to, level set with that person. Chances are you feel like you're not enough for that person. Maybe you were in the beginning in that love bombing time, or maybe you're hiding your feelings. We should never hide our feelings in a healthy, safe relationship. Or hypersensitive to criticism. Well, we know how hypersensitive they can be. Hell, I'll tell you why that is later, but are we? Okay. Do you always break down small disagreements? Are you getting concerned when you come home from work that the next thing you know is going to be a fight? Because what you need is a lot of reassurance. You're okay. Okay. It's not coming from within. All right. All these, if you're feeling these, and I want you to go inside, then chances are you are being emotionally abused, and that's your response. So let me explain to you why all this is happening and just back up, because this is the awareness side of this presentation. Okay, I'm giving you a quick 101 in psychology. I'm trying to do it in street talk. We all go through the narcissistic stage of development. Okay, all of us. 4 to 6 years old, a child. A child just wants everything. It's me, 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 me. Mila just had a child. He's such a sweetheart. I can't wait till she has Victor going through that time. It's a very healthy time in relationships. But what happens at that time more than ever is we need our mom and our dad to hold us. We need our mom and dad to say the world is safe. We need our mom and dad to allow us to cry. Okay, we need to look in their eyeballs and they need to reflect to us that the world is safe. I'm here as the primary caregiver. Okay, often that doesn't happen. Okay, and when that doesn't happen, or happens erratically, let's just say erratically, we develop roles in our house, codependent roles. Okay, I became the hero. My sister was more the scapegoat or the lost child. Then, if we're really not getting this love and affection and feeling that the world is safe, my Lord, we then become very unstable. Life becomes unproductive at a young age. And guess what? By time we get to 7 or 8 years old, as Freud and Jung says, and they were 100% right here, even though we don't use them to get out of this now, we use the trauma model. Our brains are pretty tattooed with fight, flight, fear, but it's also tattooed that the world is not a safe place. Okay, that we have to kill or be killed. Listen to that. So if you had 2 parents, not just one healthy, half healthy, neurotic one, because that's all it takes not to create a pathological individual. But if you had 2 parents who kind of colluded, one, let's say, was sick, didn't want a child, couldn't look at you, the dad maybe was a narcissist too, somehow or another, neither one of them, you would end into the pathological stage of becoming one yourself or becoming a doormat to your parents. Okay, we have a Wednesday night support group for families. Okay, and what we always say is if you don't break the family trauma will break you. So there's a whole spectrum, like a learning spectrum, like the attachment spectrum, and that's the narcissistic spectrum. So understand that. Now, you, me, I hope, a lot of empaths and codependents and people who came in here probably were not as diagnosable. What does that mean? Parents were nefarious. Yes, when I testify in court and they get charged with felonies, I have very little sympathy. But what I always hear from parents in court, even who are being diagnosed, is I love my child, I love my child, I love you, love you, love you, but they're charged with 3 felonies. Well, hell, that's not love. Okay, a good parent is not a parent that says, I love you, which is a great thing. I always said, if you don't know what to do, kiss your child 1,000 times a day and you'll learn. A good parent, though, is three things: fair, consistent, and available. And chances are you had one parent or a grandparent, somebody who became that between 0 and 8, and you escaped the indicators. But if you didn't, chances are you were diagnosable, or your loved one. This is about your person probably you're running from or here for. They're diagnosable. And if you have 5 indicators or greater in the attachment scale, okay, chances are you were diagnosed, we call it with a cluster B, a relationship disorder, which was borderline narcissistic personality disorder, histrionic, or antisocial. So the narcissistic abuse cycle, I'm giving you a 101, but it's an aha moment for you, because it's going to be a radical acceptance that you're going to find out this is a disorder you cannot change. Okay, I'm giving you the total 30 years of my history of working with patients in rehabs and psych hospitals, one-on-one. Okay, you're dealing with somebody usually that cannot change, because the narcissistic abuse cycle is pretty clear. Here's what happens when you meet them. Okay, you meet them and you're probably feeling down or depressed, or you haven't looked at yourself, or you haven't done the necessary work to really stand on your own feet, know who you are, not take, any poop from anybody, have boundaries. You haven't probably done that. Most of us haven't. Many people don't go to therapy. Only 1 out of 10 go to therapy. Most people talk to their hairstylist before they talk to me, unfortunately. Okay, so maybe you're not in recovery, going to AA or NA, whatever it is. Here is the view of what happens. You'll meet somebody. Okay, they are diagnosable. They see you in a transactional way. Okay, a diagnosable person, cluster B, has 3 elements we call TAR. This is it: a lack of empathy, a lack of accountability, and transactional. That means somehow you become narcissistic supply. They need adoration. They need a sacrifice, and they need somebody for something. And so God loved them. They meet you. And then you get in there and it's your love, love, love for you. But remember, your love, love, love could be driven from complex trauma, your vision of it. Let's not get ourselves off the hook here. It's not all them. And then they start devaluing you. You start wondering what's going on. You get under their tent. Okay, you're not bringing as many sacrifices to them. You're getting in arguments. They take you off the pedestal. Okay, then they replace you. They're looking for narcissists. They may have another partner. They may see somebody else. They're putting you down. Okay, then you get discarded. Ghosting is a toxic behavior. Just remember that. They stop calling you. They stop texting you. They won't even talk with you. And yet it was love. And then they discard you. So here, I'm just saying this to y'all real quick. If you have no child with one, if you're not taking care of somebody with one, and you relate to what I just said, the only path is no contact. Okay, you cannot change them. They are who they are. You didn't raise them. God love you. I know I have deep empathy for them and compassion, because no child wants to be evil, but it's no contact. Now, if you have to have contact, let's say parenting, and I'll get into that in a second, because co-parenting doesn't work. But if you have to have some contact, gray rocking. We'll talk about that later. But I want you to hear all that, because I want you to understand, aha, this moment, you can't change them. Okay, aha, this moment, drop the mic. If I can't change them with 30 years of clinical training, you cannot. And so if you go to tarnon.org, and come to us for support, you're going to see in step number 1, we talk about radical acceptance. Radical acceptance is accepting life on life's terms and not resisting what you cannot or choose not to change. Radical acceptance is about saying yes to life in this moment, just as it is. I'm asking, and it's also saying yes without judgment. So radical acceptance, I'm asking you as a man, if you're here listening, or as a person who cares about a man, is you can't change that person. Period. End of story. Done. Drop the mic. Okay, that's your radical acceptance. And if you're in a relationship with one, that means you have to pivot to modified contact. Then I'll get there. But when a toxic person finds out you're under the mask now, and I remember that day, because besides from me being a therapist, I was just a human being in love. When a toxic person can no longer control you, they will try to control how others see you. Okay, they want to win, win, win. So if you're a man and you have left a woman, or left a partner, or left a man, however you see life and live life, understand you have left somebody who now feels this sense of abandonment, feels they default. Remember, drop the mic, it's a disorder. Back to 4 to 6 years old, their sense of shame, that the world is not safe, that you're not here for me, okay? So when that toxic person can't control or manipulate you anymore, or how others see you, they're going to get others to see you the way they see you. Okay, that's fascinating, right? What they do, the misinformation they're going to give people, it's truly unfair. Okay, and it's our concept at the TAR Network, which we're looking to do our next summit. By the way, if you missed our first summit, we're going to have it recorded, and you can find it on TAR Network. We did the Scars to Stars Summit last month for Mental Health Awareness Month. But for those in Ireland who are listening, or Scotland, or in parental alienation groups, our next one's going to be all about this: the weaponization of people. The weaponization of people by a toxic person. Because if they can't control you, they're going to make sure how others see you. And that's not just, okay, your friends. Here it is, your friends. Your friends will become flying monkeys. They'll weaponize your whole neighborhood. They'll weaponize people that's been in your circle as a husband and wife, as partners, okay? They'll put everybody together and make them into what we call flying monkeys. So if you're a guy and you have now people who you thought was your friend coming to you, flying monkeys are the enablers who support the narcissist no matter what. Okay. They too, and you can see this in government, you can see this as we vote, and I'm not getting political, people who have not gone through self-awareness and stuff. Okay. People aren't sure of themselves. People who really don't have their strong values and haven't looked inside themselves, they're going to be susceptible to your toxic partner, and they're going to become flying monkeys. Flying monkeys are enablers who support the narcissist no matter what. I'm going to call out a country. Forgive me for those listening from this country right now, but it's the only way I can. When you have an autocrat, whether it's North Korea, Russia, or wherever, running a country, okay, people's values over time, it's cultural. Don't blame yourself. Don't get shamed, but you get information that comes down. And what happens is we all become flying monkeys to the autocrat. Okay, they have the radios, the propaganda, the gaslighting. We'll explain what gaslighting is. Gaslighting is that word salad where 10% is true and 90% is false. It's another manipulation way where a toxic person can drag you in. I want you to start using, when you hear people trying to change the narrative on you and gaslighting you get gaslit from everywhere, commercials and stuff, but in a relationship, when you respond, I don't want you to respond with anger. I want you to respond with values and honor statement. I hear what you say, but I know the reality is different. That's a good way of saying it. I know my reality. Okay. I don't want you to go into that, but that's something else. We'll get into it another time, another seminar. But flying monkeys are the enablers. The flying monkeys blindly side with the toxic person. So don't think it happens to your family. I have seen families turn against their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters because the toxic person was so effective. I have seen court systems turn. I have seen everybody. Don't forget, y'all, these are people who have really honed their image since 4 to 6 years old. They saw the kill or be killed mentality. They're not like you. Why I ask my patients never to get into fights with them. You know, it's like jumping into the mud with a pig. The pig likes it and you get dirty. Okay, they're reared and geared to win a fight. You cannot fight as well as they can. I'll get to you the transformation and love part, but don't realize you can't fight in. You can't, when those flying monkeys come to you, you can't say, oh no, I did this, I did that. You have to kind of do what I did. You have to eliminate the whole group and say, goodbye, I'm going to start my whole new life again. Okay, but a flying monkey, okay, even if they know the narcissist is wrong or doing very bad things, may come back and say things to you. The reason this all is screwed up, y'all, and I don't get too clinical, is called cognitive dissonance. Okay, but that is also our way out. Awareness, transformation, and self-love is the path of psychology I said to you, right? So once you're aware, you're no longer naive, right? What Freud says is you create cognitive dissonance. So in your mind, that means you can't be aware and not change yourself. The beauty of cognitive dissonance, it could motivate you to do good things. But in a relationship with a toxic person, cognitive dissonance is going to kill you. It's the fog of war. It's the trauma bond. Okay, I'll get to that. So narcissists usually have very few flying monkeys that they can count on. So I would say, let go of all your friends. I'm going to say that flat out. Say it nicely with compassion. Okay, you are worth it. As you grow and get in recovery, take those weaponized people out of your life, because here's the gig. People turned against each other cannot turn against those responsible. So it's a poop show again, right? It is a total poop show. They're all coming after you. They're not looking at the person who is there. Now, this is one I really, before I get into the rest of this presentation and get to transformation, I want to talk about, because it's important. A relationship with a narcissist, instead of being accepted for who we are, flaws and all, we're crushed, we're pummeled, we're beaten down. If this is you and you're a man, okay, and you've not talked to a soul, I want you to know, by the way, high-performing teams, what I teach vulnerability. Leaders who need to be vulnerable with their employees. Leaders have to go through and say, I know what you're talking about. I've been through it. So I'm going to ask you as a man to become vulnerable. So if you're getting the crap beaten out of you now, this is the time. This is the one I want to spend our foundation on and dig deeper. And we have a fabulous man in fabulous groups in Ireland now, between Rob and Paul and fabulous organizations in Ireland, who put together these groups who really are teaching us and advocating for us. And for me, and personally, because I went through this relationship many years ago and I loved her child and I was like her father. And I got terribly alienated. The child was alienated. She was told the worst things in the world about me. And God knows her name was Elizabeth. I loved her dearly. And she was torn away from me. The weaponization of flying monkeys is one thing, but they want to win. So this is something I want to concentrate now on, and we're going to develop a summit in a couple of months, and we're going to get Rob, Paul, all the head guys around for parental alienation to help us. But it's also going to be other things. But dig this. The process of parental alienation may be the worst emotional abuse of children out there. And I work with kids. I had an adolescent treatment center. I deal with emotional, physical, sexual abuse. Parental alienation, when you're being told by one parent of how bad the other parent is, remember, a child is half and half, always half mom and half dad. And when that child has to look into the mirror and half of them is so damaged and broken, okay, and told wrong things, it kills them. And for me as a therapist, you have to work constantly on reparenting. Now, those experiencing parental alienation, it is a real specialty of mine. I love working with it. And there is a way out. It's a long way. It's a patient way. But I'm working with my best friend now, and he lost 3 children to a covert narcissist. And now they're growing older, and the mask is coming off their eyes, and I'm putting them into therapy, and they're getting a new relationship with their father. Sometimes it works like that, and sometimes it is absolutely that the psyche of a child is so damaged that it doesn't. But we're going to do it at the TAR Summit, next one, at our Scars and Stars Summit, weaponization of people. We want you to join us. Okay. Heal your life because you're ongoing dysregulation. This is now the trauma model. The best way out is in. Here it is. The beauty of the trauma model is that it was made for men in toxic relationships. It was made for women in toxic relationships, okay? If you have very low self-esteem, okay, you're dysregulated. If you have problems in your relationship, you're dysregulated. You fear that they're going to leave you. Well, that's a complex trauma deal. If you fear the self-judgment, you keep telling yourself negative things, okay? You keep avoiding things and drinking, get numb. All these are emotional dysregulators. What is that? Safe place, we think, but even us psychologists don't know what in utero trauma is, and it's there. But then you pop out in some crazy old emergency room, operating room. You don't even know the OB guy because he's not on call. Then somebody slaps you in the rear. You have lights all around you. It's lights, camera, action. The baby now goes from 9 months of care to, oh my God, look at the assault, fight, flight, fear. Parents don't really know what they're doing. Boom. We have never befriended, y'all, our nervous system. The beauty of healing from a toxic relationship is that. I want you to write it, put it in your walls. Become a friend of your neurological system. What prevents us constantly from turning on the spigot or turning it off right now? This all makes sense to you right now, I'm sure, is I want you to be mindful of something called the trauma bond. Okay? If we have any addiction, and an addiction is to do any behavior despite adverse consequences, any addiction at all, it's the addiction to the trauma bond. Trauma bonding occurs due to the nature of the abuse. It's up and down, emotional roller coaster, victim goes through, okay? The alternating emotional bus today, no, let's give the kid that. If you're not consistent in behavior, if you're consistent, Okay, this positive reinforcement doesn't work. Let me give you an example. Okay, here's the trauma bond. Take a chicken. You'll give it chicken pellets. Chicken keeps coming back. Chicken will do whatever you want to do for the pellets, right? Wrong. Eventually, the chicken gets tired of eating. It gets too fat. Doesn't says, "Oh no, I don't need any more pellets." Gets tired. Take that same chicken. Do the negative reinforcement. This is all Skinner, y'all, Skinnerian psychology, operant conditioning. Take that same chicken and shock them. Shock them to change the behavior. Well, if you do this, I'm going to shock you. Well, that's like our parents spanking us, okay? Or our parents shoving us in the corner now and then, never consistently, shocking us. Do that. Well, guess what happens then? I remember. I didn't care. Spank me as much as you want. Doesn't hurt anymore. Go for it. So what happens in that intermittent reinforcement? If you're a guy going through a toxic relationship, you are getting the food and you're getting the shocking. You don't know what to do, okay? So you become trauma bonded. It's a Stockholm syndrome. You become identified with your hostage taker. You don't know if your hostage taker is going to bring you food one day or beat you the next day, okay? So that's what happens in our mind. So don't call it love. Don't call it love. Call it an addiction. Okay, and come to Tar-Anon and we're going to help you get out of it. But that's the trauma bond. Now, all of that, and I'm going to get now to transformation because this is something you need to understand, triggers our complex post-traumatic stress disorder. If you're a guy and you're wondering why all this stuff is happening, like I did, okay, I was in codependency recovery for almost 27 years. And believe me, I love the steps and I love the meetings. And it was emotional regulation. It helped me. I came out of my household the hero child, you know, to keep peace in my house. I was the calm peacemaker. Great. That was codependency. The definition of codependency is gaining your self-esteem from people, places, and things, external. The attaboy, the attagirl. Oh, great. It's not from getting it from within, okay? So, yeah, I came out in codependency, but guess what codependency is? It's an addiction. We actually cleaned it up. It's called co-addiction. We cleaned it up in America. We made it look sweet and nice, made treatment centers about it, but it's addiction. As is alcohol, as is drugs, as is eating disorders, okay? They're addictions. So I came out as a hero child, but really, if you think about it, it was the way my brain was tattooed. Fight, flight, fear were biological responses to a really weird childhood. Fawning, if you read Pete Walker's book, and hopefully Mila will stick it into the chat, Pete Walker was phenomenal. He wrote a book on CPTSD. He coined the word fawning. It meant we also have, as a trauma response, that codependency of the hero. I had to fawn. I had to be something I wasn't, to take care of my parents, to calm their arguments down, to make sure they felt valued. So fight, flight, freeze, and fawn is how we came out. That's our neurological system, okay? Right. So PTSD is what I deal with cops, firemen, emergency medical technicians, and military. I work with that, okay? If, God forbid, you're in the war and you step on an IED and lose your leg, your whole life changes. It does. If you're in a car accident, if you're emotionally, physically, sexually abused, your whole life changes. It's one thing. This is in the DSM-5. Now, and we got it as psychologists as a diagnosis, okay? PTSD. Well, guess what dictates if you're going to stay frozen in post-traumatic stress disorder or not? It's whether you were able to deal with your childhood stuff, complex PTSD. If you work in complex PTSD and lean in, you develop resilience. So people who came from terrible parenting and never looked at themselves in healing probably stepped on that IED and stayed at home and were depressed and anxious. People who were resilient, had decent parenting, or went to therapy, stepped on an IED and ended up, you know, putting a prosthetic device and becoming a gold star winner in an Olympics. The way you react to PTSD is how much resilience you develop as a child. So show me thumbs up. I want to see, make sure you're all there. If you don't know how to work the Zoom, that's okay. But look below, there's a thing that says reactions. If you're still with me, men and women who care about men, throw me a reaction. Give me a thumb. I want to know that you're actually here and engaged. It doesn't matter how many. Look down there in the bottom. You see reactions? I'm going
Jimmy,
to
I
see if you're
believe
still with me.
there is only, unfortunately, the raise your hand.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, raise your hand then. Raise your hand, everybody then. Are you with me? I feel like
Yeah,
I'm preaching to the
people
choir.
are raising.
I'm no preacher. Okay, I'm no preacher. Mila can see it all. See, God knows everybody needs Mila in their life. They need some partner. She's my work wife. She's also my
Yeah.
co-founder. So she's my eyes and ears. Well, you're all involved here. You're all engaged. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come here. So now we're at transformation. Remember, I made you aware. Now you can come to us and you're drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot. I'm going to do breath work at the end to calm you down. Okay, you're getting a lot told to you, men and women who care about men. Okay, but now's the transformation side. Transformation is a journey without a destination. It's not sitting on a mountain in Nepal having a spiritual awakening. No, it's the peeling of the onion to gain authenticity in your life, to get who you are. So you're actually healing from narcissistic abuse. If you're a guy in one of these relationships, or a woman who cares about a guy, or a woman who's in one, you have to look at this as narcissistic abuse healing. And at the TAR network, we want you to join us in the movement. We want you to come there. We have resources. We'll send you where we need to go. We want you to come to Taranon. Everything we do is free, y'all. That's why we depend upon donations. I'm not hitting you up for a donation. We have wonderful private donors too. But let's use this today to understand. You're going to feel guilty, as I did, okay, of making a transformative step, okay? But if you don't ever have to feel guilty about people, if you never have to ever feel guilty about your person you're in a relationship with, you did not raise them. Remember I said drop the mic, it's a brain disorder? I want you to drop the mic. It doesn't matter whether it's a relative, a romantic interest, an employer, a childhood friend, a new acquaintance. You don't have to make room for people who cause you pain or make you feel small. You don't have to. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is life. It's one thing if a person owns up to their behavior. If you have somebody that's accountable and says, I did it wrong, let me learn, let me meet you halfway, I apologize, I make amends. But you don't have that probably, okay? If one person makes an effort to change, great. You're in a relationship, go to therapy, you can work it through. 1 out of 2 marriages end in divorce because people don't go and work it through. But if you're with a toxic person, none of this is possible. If that person disregards your feelings, ignores your boundaries, continues to treat you in a harmful way, they need to go. And they don't need to rent space in your head. That's the trauma bond. So don't feel guilty for doing what is best for you today. The best revenge in life is living a good life. It's living well. It's living well within you. Realize you have 3 faces. It's really critical. I want you to be your own therapist here. And that's what we can be in this world of getting out of tar. I'm going to make you your own therapist, even though I wish you'd visit one too, because they will be your coach. You have 3 faces. The Japanese said it best. The first face you show the world. Man, that's, we can do anything. Our mind can do anything, unfortunately. We can be an image maker. Okay, they're the best image maker. But even when they go home, they sit there in tears because they have no sense of self. But the first face you show the world. The second face is what you show your close friends and family. That's another place. I'm speaking now, today, on transformation to the third face. The third face you never show anybody. It's the truest reflections of who you are. You know that person better than I. And if you're a man who's gone through this hell and sat there by yourself, you know it. And so in the transformation, what we do at the TAR network, and we use our vernacular and our vocabulary, and want you to start understanding in your transformation, avoiding TAR pits, toxic abusive relationship pits. As you get out of a relationship, as you transform, as they hoover you, as they co-parent with you, they're going to keep trying to pull you back into the TAR pit. I want you to start seeing, becoming proactive and not reactive. And our breath work will show you how to do that. And so will other emotional regulations. Don't do that. I want you to go to Insight Timer, which is an app, and get yourself a beautiful meditation by Tara Brach and Louise Hay. I want you to heal your life because your health depends upon it. Understand that your body is going to get sicker and sicker in this relationship. Your mind can do anything, okay? Your mind can project, deflect, deny. I want you to understand your body keeps the score. And I'd like you to grab a book. I sit on the advisory board of the Polyvagal Institute by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. He is amazing. He wrote The Body Keeps the Score. But the concept of radical acceptance was John Kabat-Zinn. And Tara Brach in Insight Timer also magnifies it through a meditation. Okay, but radical acceptance, I'd love for you to look at. The concept of transformation is reparenting yourself. It's getting the words out that no one's ever going to want to marry you. Getting the parenting word is a critical judging, getting the words out of your mouth that you have to be stressed all your life. I want you to start reparenting yourself, meaning being fair, consistent, and available, understanding it's okay to express yourself, that you don't need to act like something you're not. You're not responsible for the other person's feelings. Let them call their therapist. If you're reparenting yourself, you're going to be able to name your feelings. Guys, you need to be vulnerable. You need to find a therapist who's trauma trained, get into a room, talk about what's going on, get into groups, healthy groups, okay? Do what makes you happy. Reparenting yourself is embracing your nervous system. So if you are the person in a relationship with somebody, whether that's a intimate partner, whether it's a work site or whatever, and that trauma bond is going, this makes all the sense to you in the world. The only thing you can do in toxic relationships is two things I explained to you: no contact, and the other one is modified contact. No contact, okay, is critical. If you don't have a child with one and you're still in that mirage and looking for the oasis, it's time to get out. So Mila, is anybody telling you now with a hand up that they've ever tried to go no contact with somebody? It's very hard, but I'm giving you these tools now along the way. And yes,
A
you have
lot,
in the
David,
right
a
spot, a
lot. I
lot.
can see
It's
40,
difficult. The
50
trauma bond will
people.
bring you back. Get a good therapist. Listen to what I'm saying here. You can actually befriend your nervous system, be your emotional regulator. Those who have to deal with them in a co-parenting way, and I don't believe in co-parenting. I know I must say that, and I'm going to get crucified by all you therapists, but I don't think you can co-parent with a toxic person. What I do, and I tell parents to do, is neuro-parent. Create a safe place. Don't put your other parent down. Parental alienation is child abuse. Give them a safe place. Show them an alternative. As they grow up, they're going to gravitate towards safety. They really, really will. All of us do neurologically. So learn the gray rock method if you have to have modified contact. Become the most uninteresting rock in the driveway. Okay. Emotionally detached when you're with them. These are all have to listen. You're going to have to find a very good therapist. You're going to have to come to our TAR non meetings. You're going to have to come to TAR network, and you're going to have to do all this. But it's worth it. Why? This is no dress rehearsal. This is your life. So now, does anybody have a kid with one or have to take care of a parent or was raised by a parent with one? Do you understand the modified contact, the gray rocking? All right, Mila, she's saying yes. We've got your attention. In the toxic relationship, men, only two ways to go: no contact, modified contact. Grabbing yourself a good trauma therapist, coming to TAR, understanding that you need a TAR mentor, we call them, somebody who's been in recovery for 3 years or greater, and they're going to help you heal through this way. Gabor Mate, I'd love you to go to YouTube and check him out, says we get screwed up in relationships, we also heal through relationships. And if you're in an isolated toxic relationship with a woman, or you women with a man, understand you come out of there, you want to talk, you want to be there. That's why we created our network. Relational trauma requires relational healing. Find healthy people, grow healthy relationships, get rid of the slime monkeys, get rid of the people putting you down. Find a therapist who does dialectical behavioral therapy, DBT. It was created by Dr. Marsha Linehan. She was phenomenal. She was actually a cluster B, borderline. She still is. She has trainings, but nobody came, right? They all think they're okay. Nobody had a problem. So now we use it for attachment issues for everybody. You, me, my therapist is DBT trained. That means experiential. You have to do the work. Today's the first day of the rest of your life. You've checked in at the right place. So if you're ready to take this journey and find self-love, which is a byproduct, show Mila, and Mila's going to nod to me. Mila, do we still have everybody? They drop
Yes,
out.
we do.
I love it. We got everybody. You men, I will forever be there for you. We'll do work with you. I'm going to put a men's group out soon only. Be proud of who you're becoming. Like Metallica, James Hetfield says, right? Okay. He says, it's fantastic. Know who you are. Okay. Know who you are, and nothing else matters. Keep saying to yourself, I like who I am. I value my worth. These are ways also to deal with gaslighting, the I. I'm worthy of not hearing your bullshit, okay? You're booming. I know the truth. I deserve to be successful. I am worthy of love, men. If you don't respect me, you don't have a place in my life. And if you don't do this, as we say at the TAR Network, we're going to perpetuate the family trauma. I need you men to start working on this, on you, on awareness now, on transformation, on finding self-love, on becoming vulnerable. Why? Because This is the worst public health disaster in the world. We're continually passing this on to our kids. Your healing will be the greatest thing in the world. And when the child who's being alienated actually wakes up and smells the coffee, and they do because they grow up, your healing will attract them. And I want you to go to TAR Network and come and realize that we're trying now worldwide to put TAR on. That's in-person meetings and virtual. We meet now on Monday and Wednesday nights, okay, at 6 o'clock. It's an international fellowship of survivors, of stars, survivors of toxic abusive relationships who experience strength and hope. We go through the steps, okay? The longest journey you ever take is from your head to your heart. Understand that. The only way through CPTSD is by doing it, not reading it. You can't read yourself from recovery. So I'm going to give you and end this whole seminar today with an exercise. I'm going to give you breath work. Breath work is what I provide to cops and firemen, emergency medical technicians. You, if you're in a toxic relationship, are walking on eggshells. This is a grounding exercise. I want you to start putting that in your schedule. Grounding exercises are self-help practices that manage your trauma symptoms. They help you focus on the here and now. They get you out of the anxiety of tomorrow or the fears from yesterday. Okay? They are the way to befriend our vagus nerve. This is the way our neurological system gets actually trained. This is the way we love it. Okay, when we're feeling dysregulated, our vagus nerve goes from the cortex of our brain through our healing organs into our gut. This is trauma recovery. I love for you to start understanding that you have great power. You can be your therapist. You can schedule trauma grounding techniques 4 to 6 times a day. Your brain was programmed and tattooed by 8 years old. It takes 8 years to do that. It takes 80 years to get out. I want you to start reparenting your brain and putting these wonderful grounding techniques, emotional regulation in them. And I want you to find healthy people. If any of you leave with this notion that you think you can do it while you're in the relationship with your loved one, you cannot. I'm going to be straight up with you. You cannot get well in the environment that made you sick. Clearly, I'm going to drop the mic there too. So if you're contorting yourself in pressure and making the energy vampire happy and think you can get in recovery, you can. But if you do grounding techniques, you can take your life from a feeling hopeless at a moment or depressed to an energized and engaged place. You can go from a non-compliant to a compliant. I want you to use breath work and self-awareness exercises like grounding techniques to reduce anxiety, to create safety. It's vagus nerve work. So here's how I do with cops and firemen. Breath work grounds you on 2 feet. Before they go into a fire, they'll have to do this to be proactive. Okay, they transform your chemistry. It's a grounding technique. It changes your entire body, men and women who are here. It changes your whole body. I want you to start putting it into your life. These are neuroregulating techniques. Please, please, please. They work if you work them. They're not going to work by osmosis. Okay, you need to lean in. Remember the goddess of victory? That's Nike. You remember what Nike tells you? Let's do it. You've got to do it. You don't want to exist in this beaten down relationship any longer, right? You want to emerge. Your children want you to emerge. We want to break the cycle. So I'm going to show you now a beautiful thing called 478. You can use it all the time. This is how cops and firemen, you can reset your neurological system. Okay, we only have 4 minutes left. How's that? I got to it, Mila. It takes us only 80 seconds to change the neurology of our system. I'm going to show you how to do it. Now, if you don't remember, I want you to go to YouTube and put 478 WEIL. This is hot off the press, but I hope that Dr. Weil will also be our medical director at our complex PTSD center, I hope, called Oasis in Fort Lauderdale. It'll be open in 7 months. He's the greatest integrative medicine doctor out there. But he brought 478 to cops, firemen, and the healthcare world, and it works. It changes your brain waves, changes your MRI. It's evidence-based. So if you're brand new to this, here's how you do it. When I ask you in a moment to close your eyes, which I will, I'm going to ask you to breathe in through your nostrils for 4 seconds, like this. You feel alive. You feel refreshed. You feel there. That's how you should feel all your life. I want you to keep it in your mind for up to 7 seconds. That's it. You can picture peace or butterflies or daffodils or unicorns, or just stay silent. Any guided image is fine. You could even just pray. Okay. But when you exhale, I want you to exhale loudly, like this. For 8 seconds. That's what triggers your vagus nerve response. That's the secret sauce. Okay. Now, if you want to do something else with it, an emotional regulator, I don't want to commandeer your breath. I'm a hypnotherapist, so I believe in your independence. If you can stay silent for 80 seconds, that'll reset. You can pray. Doesn't matter if it's Jesus, Moses, Buddha, or Allah. It's a neuroregulator. Prayer is good. Or you can go to a safe place you once were, touch it and feel it and smell it. But here, I'm going to end our presentation. I'm going to say deep gratitude for coming here. If you're a man, if you're a woman who cares about a man, we're here at the TAR Network, okay? So I'm going to ask you now to close your eyes, put your feet on the ground. If you have shoes on, feel the floor through your shoes. And if you're barefooted, feel the floor through your feet. And with your back upright with respect for your body, let's do 4, 7, 8, simply 4 times. It works better if you put your tongue on the roof of your mouth too. That's what Dr. Wild will ask you to do. All right, now with your eyes closed, looking straight forward, breathe in for 4 seconds through your nostrils. Keep it, swish it around for up to 7 seconds. Blow out with passion for 8. Breathe in the calmness again for 4 seconds. Keep it, swish it for 7. Now, blow out with passion for 8. Breathe in the calmness again for 4. Keep it, swish it for 7. Just blow out the passion with passion for 8. Last time, breathe into calmness for 4 seconds. Keep it, swish it for 7. Just blow out all the anxiety you're feeling in the moment for 8. Their eyes still closed, please. Feet on the ground. I want you to go inside your body and scan it. All you men, this is a vulnerable moment. It's a beautiful moment. We're the only species that can shift the chemistry of your body in less than 80 seconds. If you're in a toxic relationship and somebody's looking at you and you feel ashamed and you need to excuse yourself for 80 seconds before you become reactive, shift the chemistry of your body. You've just actually calmed your neurosystem. You've actually created oxytocin, a hormone that connects to your neurotransmitters in less than 80 seconds. Hopefully it calms you now. Do it 4 to 6 times a day. You'll start creating a proactive nature in your response. When you're ready, open up your eyes. Come back to this meeting. Understand that what you've done is an act of self-compassion. And men, a moment of self-compassion changes your day. You can be vulnerable. This is about you. Your kids are watching. They're always watching. A string of moments like this breath work, like grounding exercises, like gratitude journaling, like finding safe, healthy people, like coming to our meetings can change the course of your life. So just know, we want you to be the change you want to see in all others. Men, we want you to take care of your life, become aware, transform, and find self-love. We want you to take this oxygen first and know that better things are coming. They really are. So keep calm, and just breathe. Mila, it's all yours.
I want to thank everybody for joining today, our first webinar. And as Dr. Jamie said, we're going to be repeating it very soon. I've received a lot of questions on parental alienation. So maybe Dr. Jamie, you're going to be so kind and tell everybody our future plans that we're going to address parental alienation.
I'll
Quite
do better than that, Mila. Why don't you and we always listen to the people. We know we love your input. In the next 2 or 3 weeks, because we're going to meet in Prague anyway, let's do just a 1-hour webinar and answer these questions. Answer all these questions, and we'll get it out.
There were
to
a lot
everybody.
of questions, and
Great.
I'm
I
happy
don't.
that you participated, that everybody
Then
participated.
let's set
I'm
up an
not
hour.
happy because of the reason, obviously, but hopefully our meetings and our foundation is going to help you all.
And I will say this, look, without answering your questions, those who have questions, here's the guiding principle of parental alienation, okay? Drop the mic. It's evil. They rip their brains off. You don't see them. It's the most tragic thing we feel. The way, no matter what, that when I answer every question, the frame to the picture that you're going to paint when we do your treatment plan is a neurosafe environment. And to do that is you have to find a neurosafe self. The first toxic relationship we have is usually with our parents. The second is with ourselves. So if you have questions on parental alienation, I'm going to answer them all, hopefully in another webinar, maybe in a couple of weeks, and we'll get right back to you. But just know the first thing I'm always going to say is Be the attraction. You never know when the mask falls off the children. Be the attraction. Take care of your mind, body, spirit, befriend your neurosystem, and then I'll answer all those questions specifically in a couple of weeks. How's that, Mila?
I think that's perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Jamie. Thank you, everybody.
Be kind to yourselves. Take good care. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.